Ladies, and good afternoon to everyone. My name is Lisa Elmes Bosshard, and I'll be speaking a little bit about a topic that's quite close to my heart. Coming from the Caribbean, where there are small communities, every action of every individual matters. And I've taken that on board throughout all my life. So I'm focusing today on local community support and tourism development. So starting with just a little bit of a story, talking about Matera. I'm not sure those who may or may know it. I was introduced to it last year. Matera, up to the 1950s, was considered the shame of Italy. So the residents there, they lived in caves, no running water, they lived with the animals, there was a high infant mortality rate, and really not a place that was a proud location for the destination or for anyone. Through public shaming by the media, the government forcibly moved the residents out of the destination and relocate everyone to neighboring areas, and it became just a ghost town. There was nothing there, no one lived there, no one wanted to talk about the place either because it brought such shame to the country. But in the 1950s, in the 1990s, sorry, locals who second generation and third generation started talking then about the beauty of the place, what it could be, what it could become, what could they make of it, who could they work with to create, to protect the caves, to make it a living destination once again. And through the creativity and the determination of locals in that area, and also creative architects, the development happened for that destination. So locals started talking to each other, rebuilding, looking where hotels can be owned by locals, or if they're owned by foreigners, they created within the style of the destination of Matera. And from being the shame of Italy in the 1950s and before to 2019, Matera became a European capital of culture. So it shows you the power of local residents when they believe, when they work together, they can be valued. And this Matera is an example of essentially a living destination because the bakers, the potters, the guides, I was lucky enough to visit there because I made it my mission last summer to go there. All of them are involved so proudly in tourism. Young people are coming back. And again, it just shows the power of local involvement in tourism development. So as Mr. Rifai says, only a city that is good for its people can be good for its visitors. So when residents are happy, when residents cherish what they have, what they own, what's part of the destination, they have a sense of place. That's when visitors can be welcomed and feel a part of it. So today our learning will really focus on, we really focus on some storytelling techniques and understanding really the role of the community and role of awareness campaigns, how one person can make a difference and start an avalanche of support to regenerate a destination, regenerate a small business, regenerate a restaurant, and making everybody recognize what they have in the destination and also get ambassadors and support for it. So tourism, we're all here because we love the industry. We all want to do better, and we're all completely supporting the responsible development of tourism. It's huge industry, 1 in 10 jobs are created from our industry. And we see now the trend over the past, not really now, but over the past years, that visitors like us are wanting more authentic local experiences. We don't want the superficial. We don't want to go and stay in an enclave. We want to be part of the community. We want to understand what that place is like. So we want to have a sense of place when we're traveling. When residents feel excluded, the industry risks losing its social license to operate. And social license, that's a concept that it's not a document, it's not a physical paper. It's just residents, they take away the right to make their destination a tourism place because they don't feel a part of it. So when they're part of it, they support, they promote, they build businesses, they work together as a community. When they don't feel part of it, we've seen the headlines over the past few years, Barcelona, Venice, some parts of other parts of Italy, where the residents' life is different and not for a good, and they blame the tourists. They're not against tourism, but they're against the development, how that tourism has developed. So because there's a separation, that social license is challenged, and that's something that we need to be quite mindful of. So there are stats, I won't get into it, about how the local community involvement works and what's the benefit of it. So first of all, it teaches the residents about what they have and for you to feel a part of it. It drives authenticity. So visitors have a real experience and a real sense of place of the destination. And locals, it starts to build pride as well in the locals. So they're feeling, and the residents, they feel as if their place is someplace to value. And that transfers as well to the visitors. It protects the cultural heritage because then the traditions come alive. All the museums and the iconic places, they're cherished and there are plans put in place to preserve them. And of course, it builds long-term sustainability because it's distinct and it's differentiated from other destinations. So we'll get into now how to create an awareness campaign. Just reminding everyone, if you have any questions, please put it in the chat. I'll be happy to answer anything that comes up. So awareness campaigns, why are they important? As I mentioned, it's a sense of pride, it's a sense of education, it's a sense of conservation. And when it comes to the climate challenges that we're facing all around the world, from the Caribbean to Europe and everywhere, there's no stronger voice to advocate for change or advocate for improvement than a local voice, because they're living it, they're feeling it, and having a resident or local at the front of a campaign, it's much more than, fancy writing in a marketing campaign. So it adds a sense of credibility and it is powerful. So here we have, I've sort of presenting a principle, which is heritage. It can be called anything. If heritage is too difficult for anybody or it's too many words, you can create your own principles of how you want to create the campaign. And it's all about following the principles, from listening the community to digging deeper for the hidden stories, to inviting others to participate and co-create. So you're not just telling others that this is my campaign, I would like you to promote it. No, that's not how it works. It's about co-creation. So both of you are engaging to find out what the value of the place is, what the value of what's missing, what's threatened, and then you're creating together a plan for how you can revive it and how you can promote it and educate visitors, other residents and visitors. Taking action as well, amplifying. So how do you then, you're convinced of the story, you're convinced of the plan, how do you then get others on board? And that's about choosing the right channels, the channels that work for you. And it's a mix. It's not just one. I know we live in a digital age, but it's not just one channel. It's using a range of channels. So different touch points that people have in their life. You're visible, you're there, and you're educating both the visitor and your fellow residents. Gathering data, of course, documenting what's working, what's not working, testimonials to show that others are supporting what your campaign is all about, and of course continuing, because a one-off campaign does not make a campaign. It's about continuous effort and keep going. So out of the heritage principles, we then have just a short action plan, which sometimes is easier to digest. So listening to the community, choosing a theme and a partner, just keep it simple, one theme. Heritage, something that's critical to the community, or climate, something that's challenging the destination or the business at the moment. Create and launch the campaign, and then of course measure. So from the 8 principles, you have 4 bite-sized action steps that you can take to follow. And what makes a campaign work? Sometimes it's good to keep this in the mind, that you need one clear message. There's always lots and lots and lots of things to say, but keep it simple. One clear message, a human face, multi channels, a call to action. So what do you want the audience to do or say, or, how do you want them to respond to this campaign? And consistency over time. So one post is just that. It's one post. It's really about keeping a rhythm over time and also bringing other ideas. So all the things that you wanted to say from the beginning, where you narrowed it down to one message, then you can start with another message in the next campaign. So it's the impact builds over time. So I thought I'll go through just taking an example, a restaurant, a small restaurant. It's run by Pablo. He's in Italy, and he wants to get more people. He's seeing the crowds walking in the streets, but he's not getting the business. His fellow locals are complaining. He doesn't want to complain too much because he doesn't want to be a negative on the industry because he understands the importance of tourism. So he's decided to look at what can he do with his restaurant to make it better for locals and also to invite tourists in to share. So he's speaking with some other residents, about the dishes that they enjoy, what their concerns are about tourism. He's engaging, from that information, he's engaging 5 local entrepreneurs who, they also feel as if they're missing out on some of the tourism benefits, and maybe they have some concerns about tourism as well. And then they come up with a plan, about co-creating, you know. He's the face of it. So he's creating 2 or 3 traditional recipes from his grandma's time. He's writing a 2-word copy about it to talk about the significance to his family, the significance to the region, the products that he's using based on the co-creation, the team that he's created it with, calling it, for example, Chef's Table, and the messaging is co-created with the neighbors. So right away, it shows that there's a synergy, there's unity, there's a local drive to bring something back to the community, which invites locals in. And of course, it will get the interest of the visitors who are looking for that authenticity, that local feeling. And of course, climate action has to come into it. It's not just about a recipe. It's not simply a recipe. It's a much bigger picture, So it's about reducing waste and all the other ideas that will come into it that he can take advantage of in his small family restaurant. Amplifying the message, so, using videos and to, when they're cooking, when they're preparing, gathering the data as well and evolving. So sharing the results at the end of the campaign and again, re-engaging to come up with another one. So it's a small scenario, but it has a big impact potentially, and anyone can do it. It just takes 1 or 2 people to come together to decide that, we want to make a difference. And you can see from Materia's example how that difference or how that belief just ripples through or can ripple through a community and throughout a region. So just some ideas for campaign assets, simple things that you can do. You don't need a big budget. It's just about talking, sharing ideas, looking at, past campaigns potentially, and coming up with simple things that you can do together to move things within your own community. What are other businesses already doing? We've seen slow tourism networks, how that's developed. So hotels that have come together wanting car-free travel to promote public transport to their guests. So instead of guests renting cars and the carbon emissions, they want to look at what can they do, what small action can they take to assist with against the climate challenges that we're having, and that's what they've come up with. In Switzerland, for example, where I live, most of the cities, when you stay at a hotel, you get a free pass for public transport. So it's really about, they want you to arrive by train, use the buses, go outside of the tourist hubs, so to speak, to visit, and also reduce your carbon footprint. So it's about small businesses coming together, looking at what's been done by others, what's successful, and seeing how they can implement or some aspect of it for their own area and for their own business. In Portugal, we've seen using digital gamification, as we call it. So moving the visitors outside of the tourist hub to the smaller communities. So, the sellers, the farms, the workshops, artisan workshops, which we know are also beautiful in Portugal. So getting them out to explore and doing it in a fun and interesting way using technology. Again, that's coming together to create something, and all of these actions create essentially a new product. So it is about product development because it's another experience that the visitor can have. And that's what product development, tourism development is all about. So key takeaways, find your voice. What's authentic about you and your place? Just think about what you enjoy as a person, as an individual, as your community. Find the authenticity in your place, your destination, your business. Build the story across different channels. So whether it's text, whether it's digital, whether it's holding an event, whether it's being part of an event, whether it's joining in the tourist board activity to extend the network for your story. So build your story across different channels and connect to a bigger purpose because it's bigger than all of us. We've seen from Matera, I go back to that example as well. It just took a second generation residents to decide that we want to preserve the area where our parents and grandparents were born and grew up. And this is what, and they've achieved so much. So there's a bigger purpose to the small actions that we take to achieve that bigger purpose. Collaborate with locals. It's about co-creating. It's about building things together. It's about communities coming together to shape tourism and to protect it, and of course to champion it. Give back visibly as well. So show your generosity in the community because then you will get others on board to support. So whether it's sponsorship of football teams or children or schools or planting a herb garden that everybody can take part, from, give back visibly. That's really important in the community. And of course, support the education of the locals through hiring and training and developing the next generation as well. So thank you very much. That was a very a lot to say in such a short space of time, and I always have lots to say about this topic. So please feel free to connect with me. I've put my QR code for LinkedIn, so please connect, send me a message if there's any support or advice or bouncing board for ideas. I'm happy to assist. So thank you very much.